The year is 1952. The world sees him as a king, a visionary, the genius who could summon laughter and tears with the simple tilt of a hat. But behind the closed doors of his grand manor in Beverly Hills, Charles Chaplin is a ghost haunting his own life. The opulent study is his fortress, a tomb of success. Gilded Oscars gleam from velvet pedestals, each one a testament to his unmatched power. The scent of aged leather and stale tobacco hangs in the air, heavy and mournful. He sits at his desk, his back ramrod straight, but his shoulders carry the invisible weight of the world. For weeks, the blank page before him has remained just that, blank. The magic that once flowed from his mind, through his hands and onto the screen, has vanished. He is not suffering from writer's block. He is suffering from a deeper, more profound ailment. He is empty. He has spent a lifetime controlling every frame, every gesture, every emotion, and in doing so, he has calcified his own heart. He can no longer feel the way he once did. The pain is a physical presence in the room, a phantom limb that throbs with a silent ache. He tries to force the creativity out, gripping his pen so tightly that his knuckles turn white. But nothing comes. His soul is a desert and he, its stranded ruler. Just then his wife Una glides into the room. She is a figure of quiet grace, a counterpoint to his explosive genius. To the world, she is merely the devoted wife of a famous man, a footnote to his legacy. But in his moments of deepest darkness, she is his one steady point of light, a star he is too proud to acknowledge. She places a small teacup on the corner of his desk and says nothing, her presence a silent offering of comfort. As she turns to leave, his gaze falls upon a small, unassuming object she has left behind. It's a crude statuette, no more than 4 inches high, made from unpainted, unglazed clay. It's a caricature of his iconic little tramp. He sneers internally. It is clumsy, amateurish. One of the little boots is chipped at the toe. The bowler hat is lopsided. He sees it as a childish failure. He's about to sweep it into the waste bin, to purge his perfect world of this ugly, imperfect thing. But as his hand hovers over the statuette, the lamp's light catches it just right. His breath catches in his throat. On the crude, unpolished face of the tramp, there is a single, impossibly fine line tracing a tear. Not a cartoon teardrop, but a perfect, realistic streak of sorrow. It looks as if it's been weeping for 100 years, a single, devastatingly honest expression of pain that defies the rough, unrefined material from which it was sculpted. He stares, his cynical heart hammering against his ribs. How could she have done this? How could this woman, his wife, a person he has kept at an emotional arm's length for so long, have captured his deepest, most guarded pain with such raw, unthinking truth? The statuette is not just a piece of art. It is a mirror of his own soul, a reflection of the sorrow he has spent a lifetime concealing beneath the guise of comedic genius. For the first time in decades, he feels a tremor of something he hasn't felt since his impoverished childhood. Raw, unadulterated terror. He is Charles Chaplin, a man who has always been in control, but in this single, terrifying moment, with this fragile, broken thing in his hand, he is completely exposed. He stands, a legendary figure reduced to a trembling boy. What kind of secret was Chaplin hiding that made a simple gift so terrifying? Leave a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more untold stories. He clutched the statuette, his knuckles white, and stormed out of the study. He found Una in the quiet sunroom, a space filled with the soft glow of natural light and the gentle rustle of leaves. The room was a stark contrast to his dark, oppressive study. It was a sanctuary of peace, a place he rarely entered. Una was tending to a collection of ferns, her hands gentle and purposeful, a natural sculptor of living things. She looked up, her face soft and serene, a quiet well of infinite patience. He shoved the statuette at her, his voice a low, furious growl. "What is this? What have you done?" "It's impossible, this tear. It's too real. You can't have made this. It's a trick." He felt a frantic need to discredit it, to reduce it to a simple gimmick. He couldn't bear the thought that she might see through him, that she might know the man behind the persona, the lonely, broken boy who still lived inside. Una didn't flinch. She took the statuette gently from his trembling hand and held it with a reverence that infuriated him further. "There is no trick, Charles," she said calmly, her voice a soothing balm he was too agitated to accept. "It's not about perfection. It's about honesty. You create the world as you want it to be, filled with the joy and sorrow you control. I simply created what I saw, what I see in you." Her words were a physical blow, stripping away his defenses. He exploded, his voice rising in an actor's practiced fury. "You see nothing. You see a character, a clown. You don't know the man, the artist. I craft and perfect every moment of feeling. This is a cheap mockery of my work." He gestured wildly at the statuette, as if it were an insult to his very being. "You think you can capture my pain in a lump of clay, with no cameras, no lighting, no staging?" Una's gaze remained steady, her eyes full of a wisdom that cut deeper than any of his theatrical outbursts. She placed the statuette on a nearby table. "Every artist, even the greatest, has a fear," she said softly, her voice still a whisper. "That one day they will no longer be able to feel, that their creation will become a mechanical act, a repetition of old gestures, that they will no longer be able to express what is broken inside them. That tear, Charles, that is the fear you carry, the fear of being empty." His rage dissolved into a terrible, aching silence. She had not just read his soul. She had spoken its truth aloud. He was faced with a terrifying dilemma. The world he had built was safe and secure, a fortress of his own design, but it was a prison of emotional isolation. She offered a different path, a way to freedom through vulnerability, a way to mend what was broken not by hiding it, but by embracing it. The pressure was immense, the stakes impossibly high. But the best is yet to come. For the next week, Chaplin was a man consumed. He walked through his mansion like a ghost, his mind replaying Una's words and the image of that impossible tear. He would see her in the sunroom, her hands covered in clay, her face peaceful. He would find himself drawn to the door, his hand on the knob, only to retreat in a cold sweat. His ego, the tyrant that had ruled his life for so long, screamed at him to stay away. This was a place of imperfection, of messiness, of things he could not control. It was a place where he would be forced to fail, and failure to Chaplin was a fate worse than death. But the pain inside him, the emptiness he had tried so hard to deny, was a far more persuasive force. It was a gnawing hunger he could no longer ignore. Finally, one evening, he could resist no longer. He found her in the sunroom, hunched over a new piece of clay, her concentration so deep she didn't hear him enter. He didn't speak. He simply pulled up a chair across from her. His hands, the hands that had shaped the very history of cinema, clenched into trembling fists. She looked up, a soft smile on her lips, and without a word placed a fresh lump of clay in front of him. "Try," she said, her voice full of understanding, devoid of any pressure. He hesitated. Then his hands, so used to commanding a film crew of hundreds, clumsily picked up the clay. It felt alien in his grasp, too soft, too malleable, without a clear purpose. He attempted to form a face, but his need for control made it impossible. The clay resisted his force, collapsing under the pressure of his tight grip. He threw the mess to the ground in frustration, the sound a soft, hopeless thud. It was a failure of the most basic kind, and it broke him. He stared at his hands, at their helplessness, at their inability to create a simple, unperfected thing. And then the dam broke. The stories began to pour out, a torrent of pain he had held captive for a lifetime. He spoke of his impoverished childhood in London, of sleeping on the streets, of the constant hunger and the gnawing cold. He recounted the day his mother was committed to an asylum, the image of her fragile form, her broken mind, burned into his memory. He spoke of his younger brother, Sidney, and their shared desperation. He revealed the source of his famous humor. It wasn't born of joy, but of a deep, abiding sadness. He had made the world laugh so that he wouldn't have to cry. He talked until his voice was hoarse, the words tumbling over each other in a desperate confession. Una listened, her hands still, her eyes full of compassion, not as an audience but as a partner. And when he finally stopped, exhausted and empty, he looked down at the mess of clay on the floor. He began to pick up the pieces, not to reform them, but simply to hold them. And in that moment the true revelation came. He realized the gift was never the perfect tear, but the act of making something imperfect, of accepting the broken pieces, and of sharing the true, flawed human beneath the legend. He understood that the love and connection he desperately craved weren't in grand, theatrical gestures, but in this quiet, messy, and infinitely real moment with the woman who saw him for who he truly was. The final scene is not a grand celebration, but a moment of quiet, enduring peace. The study is no longer a tomb of perfection. It is now a shared workshop. The golden Oscars remain on the shelves, but they are joined by a growing collection of small, lumpy, unpainted clay figures, a little dog with a crooked leg, a clumsy flower pot, a version of the tramp with a comically oversized hat. They are imperfect, but each one is filled with a story and a feeling. Chaplin is no longer the man haunted by his past or enslaved by his need for control. He sits at his desk not to create a masterpiece for the world, but to shape a small, clumsy object for the sheer joy of it, for the quiet satisfaction of shared creation. His greatest gift to Una wasn't a diamond or a film. It was the vulnerable, imperfect man he finally allowed her to see. He finally learned that true art, true happiness, And true love are not about erasing the flaws, but about finding the beauty in them. A beauty that can only be revealed when you are brave enough to let go of control. It was an unexpected gift, not from him to her, but from his broken soul to his loving heart. A gift that changed everything about their love and ultimately saved him. What part of this story about Chaplin's hidden pain and ultimate redemption touched you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to join us on our next journey into the heart of a legend.